Hey guys, welcome to the first preview episode of Parenting Rescue with Bryan Post, aka Big Papa. I have been wanting to do this show now for I've been thinking about formulating it for about the last 4 to 5 months. And recently on Post Daily Dose, I challenged all my posties who join me every day to start setting parenting goals for 2019, because I feel like we set goals for everything else, not resolutions. I'm not into resolutions. I'm into setting goals. And so I challenged all my posties to set parenting goals for 2019. And so as a part of my goals, not just parenting goals, but all goals, but I want you to be very specific with some parenting goals. But I have been wanting to do this show, and I want to get it launched before the end of the year. So I'm going to do a preview show. I'm kind of, trying to pull it all together for you all. I'm a very ready, fire, aim kind of guy. So it's going to be a little rough because I don't have it all figured out yet. I don't have all the technology figured out completely. And, of course, it'll get better as we go along with each show. But this is going to give you a good idea of kind of what I'm wanting to do. I hope to get a lot of feedback, a lot of suggestions, a lot of comments from you guys, and make this the best possible show ever. I already have my Facebook Post Daily Dose show. I have Instagram 60 Second Parenting, and this is going to be exclusively on YouTube, Parenting Rescue, or whatever you guys think is going to be a good name, a good title for me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I will show you kind of where you can go and you can follow along yourself, or you will be able to you should be able to listen right along with me. So as you can see here, I'm now in small box. You should be able to see my full screen. Let's put this in theater mode. This is Nanny 911. Let's see if we can get a little more information on the show. This is the Potter family. So what I hope to do once a week is pull up a show. Could be a Nanny 911 show. It could be any other parenting show. I hope to get comments and suggestions from you guys. Once we load these up to YouTube, I can't do them live because I haven't figured out how to do the a screen share on YouTube. But what I hope to do is have you guys give me comments, maybe send me other links to other videos you want me to review. I've got some that I do in my lectures that I'll probably try to pull up as well, because I think they're really educational. And my whole goal is to, and you have to excuse me, I've got a little bit of a cold. My whole goal is to give you very specific ideas, thoughts, suggestions, insights, inspirations, motivations on specific parenting situations. Now, I might pull up a Nanny 911 episode, and I honestly, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get away with this. I figure it's public domain, so I'm not trying to make any money off of it. I'm just trying to give education and give insights. So I'm not trying to disrespect the nanny or any other person we may feature their video. I want to be honorable, and I'm grateful that they invest the time and money and the energy to pull these shows together. And I want to be very respectful of the families who allowed these cameras to be in their homes. And at the same time, I don't see things the same way. So I'm gonna give you the Big Papa impressions on what I see, because I want you to have a different way of looking at parenting interventions and thinking about things in a different way than what is usually featured on television. So here's the way it's going to work. I'm going to pull up a show, and you'll see this is Super Nanny, the Potter family. I think there are actually two different shows. There's a Nanny 911 and there's one called Super Nanny. And so I'm going to play, but when I start playing, you won't be able to hear me. So I'm not going to talk until I pause it. But it's going to give you a little bit of a background on the family, and then we're going to dig right in. And so as we go along, I will pause and I'll give you some specific ideas and suggestions on what I'm seeing with the family.
Night on Super Nanny. Get over here and pick up these Legos. Really? Joe visits the Potter family and meets a mom who gets no respect.
I'm your mommy.
And a dad whose temper is out of control. It's threatening his bond with his son. Get over here!
Yelling at me.
Because you don't do a single thing I ask you to do. And tearing his marriage apart.
This is my life. It sucks.
Can Joe knock some sense into Dad?
That is what's happened to him emotionally.
And rescue his marriage from the brink?
I ever thought it was better for the kids for us to be apart? Would I do it?
Absolutely. Before he ruins his relationships for good.
Maybe not the name is your last chance. I just wanted to cheat.
Good stuff, right? So we get an opportunity. We get a little, again, mad respect for Joe and the Super Nanny show, but we get an opportunity to, follow along and look at this family and some of the challenges that they've had and that she's going to be dealing with. And then Big Papa's going to give you this love-based approach because I think it's going to completely change the way you see these kinds of shows. And my goal is I want to give you repetition. Repetition is how you change your brain. So you either have to have, in order to change your brain, you either have to have emotional impact, which is typically where trauma and great deals of stress come in, or you have to have repetition. That's how you change your brain. I want to help you change your brain because I want to help change your paradigm, your parenting paradigm. I don't want to just entertain you. I want to educate you, and I want you thinking about this information. I want you talking about it. I want you sharing it. I want you to get excited about being able to create a breakthrough in your home. And so I think that this is going to be a good way for us to be able to do it.
I'm in Rochester, New York. We're ready to help a family. Let's take a look.
Hi, we're the Potters.
I'm Joy.
I'm Chris. We have 4 kids.
Noah is 10. Bryan is 7. Jake is 5. And Alexa is 4.
Ryan's out of here. I was going to bed. I don't think that I get a lot of respect from any of the kids. They asked you to go upstairs no less than 6 times, and you're still sitting here.
They don't respect us. Don't push me. They don't respect the house. Don't hit the wall. Stop it.
Talking back and being blatantly disrespectful. Covering your ears and saying la la la. You don't do that stuff. That makes me very angry.
Wow. This needs to change.
Go to bed for the night.
Discipline has been tricky because the two of us haven't been on the same page with it. Alexa, come up here. I want to talk to them in a way that they deserve to be spoken to.
Keep your darn hands off of them. It's not a brat. You're the brat.
I think that his parenting style is a little old school.
Get over here now. I'm a disciplinarian. I'm very strict. I do tend to do a lot of yelling. I don't think you're cute.
He's loud. It can get scary.
Get up and get it.
I sometimes interrupt Chris and try to step in.
Come with me.
What did he do?
You just kicked him in.
Hitting him back. That's what Bryan did to him first.
When I was a kid, my mom didn't challenge my dad.
Do not talk about your
That
dad.
truly is where I'm coming from.
Yeah, really. It's
Okay.
powerfully between the
That's awesome, that statement that he made, because we're right away looking at some generational imprints. So some role dominance in a household, which is automatically going to set the children up for confused messages. I think Nanny picks up on this right away as well.
Our teamwork.
My relationship with Noah is very strained. You're very careless, Noah.
Strained because it
He
always
just doesn't listen.
ends up in a huge fight.
You're not plugging the ears.
I know. You say you would yell. And Chris is over the top. He's screaming.
Take that off now.
He needs to get it under control.
So we're not even in the show yet. But what I want you to understand is that there are only 2 primary emotions. There are love and fear. So once you move out of a space of love, you move into a space of fear. In fear, we typically can only do a few things. Fear seeks to control. It seeks to dominate. It seeks to overpower. It seeks to intimidate. It seeks to threaten and coerce in order to get whatever the desired outcome is. See, fear only focuses on fixing it and the desired outcome. You don't have any other wiggle room when you're operating from fear. And so just like with yelling, so typically when parents are operating from a fear-based paradigm, they can only increase the intensity of the behavior interventions that they've been using. So dad can only yell more. Mom can only threaten more. And so now what you see is right here is dad has yelled. Now he's grabbed the young man and he's pulling him up the stairs. So now he's resorted to force because there are no other opportunities. Now, the biggest risk here is that the parents are going to lose relationship. So there are two things. You have relationship, which allows you the ability to influence, or you have fear, which focuses on control. You have to choose which one you want to create in your relationship with your child, because what I can tell you is that when they get older, your ability to control them with fear and with power and with dominance and coercion is going to get less and less and less and less as they get older. Because once they hit adolescence, they're going to be able to have a lot more independence and a lot more freedom to fight back. Now, it may work. Control and overpowering and dominance may work until they're, up to 8, 9, 10 years old. But you're going to soon, quickly start to realize that you've invested in the wrong path. And I don't want that for you. I want you to invest in the relationship. Because once you invest in the relationship, then what you have the ability to do is to influence your child as opposed to having to control them.
I do not like this.
This is my life. It sucks.
Let's move
my
on.
husband and my kids. But I sometimes think, would it be better for us? Your name? Hi, Jake. Pleased to meet you.
Hi, I'm Chris.
Pleasure to meet you, Chris. I never said a word. Bryan, I said turn it off. The kids are pleased to meet you. This is Ryan. Hi, Ryan. Hi, pleased to meet you. I'm Joe. So, just observe and hang out, really. Okay, all right. Shortly after I arrived, Noah and Ryan vanished upstairs to play video games, but Mum had felt that they'd already played enough. So choose different activities. So
we get to jump right in here. This is so very exciting. So the kids is playing video games. How many of you as parents, have gone through some of these similar challenges these parents are dealing with? And now, especially with video games, like video games is one of the big ones, especially that parents have a hard time getting their child to move away from. And what I learned when I was trying to, work through some of the technology here is that you can't hear me talking if the video is playing. So I have to pause it in order to keep talking.
But Ryan went straight on as if Mum never said a word. Ryan, I said turn it off. The kids do not listen to me. I'm talking to them and they're not even looking at me. It's naughty. I asked you to turn it off.
So you've heard me talk about the 3 pathways of emotional expression. And this is one of the things, watching videos like this, these families are all going to look the same. The more time you spend with me, you're going to see the common themes. I always say stress and fear are the common denominators. So I'm going to give you my core principles over and over and over and over again, and that's where repetition is going to come in. And I hope it's going to begin really shifting and informing and influencing your paradigm and helping you see things different in your own home. So the first thing you notice here is Mom moves in, and she immediately says it's time to turn off the television. There's no transition. 3 emotional pathways: attitudes, feelings, and behaviors. If you can't express through your attitudes, you drop down to your feelings. If you can't express through your feelings, you drop down through your behaviors. So as soon as she says it's time to turn off the television and he doesn't do it, she moves right in on him. The problem with that is anytime we encounter a novel event, we perceive that event as a threat until deemed otherwise. So as soon as she asks him to turn off the computer, his brain immediately goes into a state of freeze. So he immediately freezes and can't make a movement. She moves in on him, which means she just increases the threat, the stress dynamic in the experience, which then makes him freeze even more. So then she's going to push right on through.
Give me the controller. Let go. Ryan, Mom's trying to make a point by taking away.
Oppositional defiant child is a scared child. See, I want you to see the themes here. I want you to see the way these patterns happen over and over and over again, because you'll notice that children have many of the same reactions. So right now, mom is trying to wrestle the control from him. You already know it's not going to go in a good direction.
Ryan's game controller, but instead she ended up in a tug of war. I'm not gonna play it! Just let me have the controller! What are you gonna do with the controller if I give it to you? I'm gonna put it back where it's supposed to go. Do it right now. In the end, I gave in and didn't really follow through with what I wanted. Not your job!
We're looking at obviously limit challenges. So we'll go. I mean, this is going to be a 1 hour weekly show. So this is something that you're going to want to make time to watch, because I'm going to really invest my time going through these scenarios and trying to really help you see things differently. Now, the nanny show itself is 41 minutes long, so I'll be kind of skipping through and fast forwarding. Sometimes I'll have to back up a little bit so I can help you see things a little differently.
I'm your mommy. What does he mean by it's not your job? What's not your job? To tell him that he can't play it. Not only did Mum allow Ryan to keep the game controller, but she also allowed him to disrespect her. And this boy has got his mum wrapped around his finger. I'm going to go out for a little while, okay? Later on in the day, Mum went off to work, and Dad insisted that Noah tidy his bedroom. Where Mum is so soft, Dad is so extreme.
What is all this?
Mother.
Yeah, well, you're going to clean them up.
Later.
Hey, get over here and pick up these Legos. Really?
Go!
Okay, this can be taken
Sometimes.
Okay, so one of the things I want to do is I want to not only point out kind of the science behind some of the challenges, but I want to give you some ideas on what could be done differently. And of course, I'll get better with this, and we'll get more in sync as time goes by. But with the mom in the game controller, the first thing you've got to do, number one, is you got to recognize your child's window of tolerance for how long they can be on that game. Now, all children are different. And I will say that games and television, things like that, they have a role, and that role for me is letting them be an effective babysitter, because that's about all they are. So when you have an opportunity, you need to have some time to yourself and get some things done. That's the best time to let your child watch television or let them play a video game. But you have to pay attention to their window of tolerance, because if you hit the limits of their window of tolerance, it doesn't matter what you do. When it's time to turn that game off or that television off, they're not going to want to do it. You're going to have challenges. So you got to monitor that window of tolerance and maybe give them 20 minutes, maybe give them 30 minutes. If you want to extend out, you want to start with an hour and then pull back. And you'll notice that dependent on your child's window of tolerance is how easily they're able to be flexible and transition to your request. So that's number one. Number two, mom should have said to the child, okay, we're going to have to turn the video game off in about 10 minutes. Give him some transition time, right? And then when she comes in, maybe sits down beside him. She already realizes at that moment it's going to be hard for him to transition and put the game away. And so one of my favorite things to do with kids is, hey, I see you're having a hard time. It's really not worth us getting into a fight about it. You go ahead, keep playing. Just understand that I think you've already exceeded your window of tolerance, which tells me that tomorrow we're probably going to have to dial that time back, or later we're going to have to dial that time back, because I'm not being a good parent if I just continue to let you play on this, minute after minute, hour after hour. So we'll dial it back a little bit tomorrow. But, I think it's time for you to get off, and I know you'll get off as soon as you feel like you can safely do that, and then leave the room and go on about your business. And what the child hears is two things. Number one, they hear that they have some responsibility in being mindful enough of themselves to know when they need to put that game controller down. Number two, they hear that their parent is more invested in the relationship than they are the outcome of the putting the game controller down. Number three, they're also hearing that the parent is taking responsibility for letting them play on the game too much. So that's that. Now, for the kid and the Legos, let's look at this real quick.
My dad gets really mad, and I don't like it.
Pick up the Legos. Get back here now.
So dad immediately comes in. You see this huge pile of Legos, and dad says, what is this mess? Pick up these freaking Legos. Well, all of these kids are stressed out, which tells me they're all regressed. And when a kid is regressed, it means they're operating from a younger emotional age than their cognitive age. They're operating from their emotional age. So if you think about this little kid, I don't know, maybe he's 10, I wasn't paying attention to the age. But if you think about him being stressed, that means he's about 2. Dad comes in and says, I want you to pick all this up. It's completely overwhelming. So what Dad should have done in that situation, number 1, is we're going to back all the way up. Kid shouldn't even have that many Legos to begin with because the kid has already demonstrated that it's overwhelming. When the kid dumps that many Legos out in the middle of the floor, they're already telling you it's completely overwhelming. So take half of those Legos away. Take 3/4 of those Legos away, and then that's one thing. Number 2, when you go in, and this is what parents do all the time, we overindulge our children in toys. That is the definition of spoiling. You can't spoil a child by loving them too much, by hugging them too much, by kissing them too much, by carrying them too much, picking them up too much. You don't spoil children internally. You spoil children externally through material overindulgence.
I mean, I don't exactly blame Noah for running away. Dad's tone and the way he manhandles him, it's nothing scary for that boy.
I'm going to give you one chance to pick these lights.
All right, we're going to stop the share for just a moment. I'm trying to see how long we've actually been going up to this point because I wasn't timing it. So you get a good idea of kind of where I'm headed with this. I hope it's exciting to you. I hope you find this helpful and interesting. We're going to go a little bit longer for this preview episode, and then we're going to wrap it up for today. And then I will be coming back to you every single week. I'm thinking probably Thursday mornings is when I'm going to try to have this posted for you. It's going to go live on YouTube. But I will also let you know when the live recording is going to happen. That way you can participate in the live audience. And when you do that, you can actually show up on the screen. I may even do an opportunity for some audience participation where I can pull you guys in. I can unmute your videos and your cameras, and you can show up. You can ask questions, and we can just really dig in. So I'm really excited about this. I hope you feel the same. Please, send me your comments when it loads, when this preview episode loads. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your thoughts are. And just help me make this the best possible show for you that we can. We're going to go just a little bit longer.
It goes up, and if I pick them up, then they're going to be taken away. Okay, well then say goodbye to your Legos then.
He made a threat. He's not going to follow through. He's probably made that threat over and over and over again, and that's a limit challenge. There's so much content. These shows are rich with content.
Dad was getting angry by the minute, so I left him upstairs to tidy up the toys. Where's Noah? Huh? In there. Get out, please, from there.
There was the whole thing.
Hey, this is Russell Brunson, and it looks like
Hey, Russell. That's my very dear friend, Russell Brunson. I'm not going to be able to watch Russell's video, his commercial.
National way of looking at things, but they work.
I want to focus on us, on our kids, on our situation, on us.
When Super Nanny returns.
I think I do a lot of things right, and I kind of want somebody to chime in and point out really where I think Joy's shortcomings are. If she doesn't agree with what I'm doing, she'll jump in and she'll show the children that Mom and
The kids are suffering for it, and that for me is incredibly sad. I'm really, really anxious about the parent meeting. I know it's going to be difficult, so it's making me really uneasy. Let me start by telling you both that it takes a lot of courage to come to the table, because some of the issues we will talk about, they're not a rosy picture. Yeah. No. There are parental issues. The kids are suffering for it. And that, for me, is incredibly sad. Yeah. Let's talk about discipline, because I know that there's been much heated conversation with regards to what do we do with discipline when we see the kids being disrespectful. The pair of you need to be in agreement of discipline. Right. This is not to shame or to humiliate. Discipline is to teach, and you both have to follow through on it.
Dale, listen. I say to Ryan,
So Joe nailed the definition of discipline, which is to teach, not to punish. But this is a very important kind of juncture here. Is a lot of times you will hear professionals, they use these really good explanations, they have these really good ideas, but then the implementation completely falls off. So you're going to find out that yes, the definition of discipline is to teach, but number one, you can't teach stressed out children because they can't learn. Stressed out parents can't be effective teachers because they're stressed out. So no one's thinking clearly. Everyone's short-term memory is shut down and suppressed. Number two, if you want to teach, if you truly want to teach, you cannot punish. You're going to find, and this is where the love and fear model kind of goes hand in hand. You're going to find that a lot of times the words that we use when we talk about things like the definition of discipline is to teach, not to punish, you're going to find that we'll use that, we'll make that statement, but then what gets recommended is actually based in fear and punishment. And so then the discrepancies just continue to fall out all over the place. And again, this is one of the things we're going to be able to do. I don't even know if we're going to be able to get through a full show because I have so much I want to be able to advise you guys on and suggest for you. So I'm not sure if we'll be able to get through a whole show. And we may have to split shows up. Who knows? We're just going to take it free flow. And again, I want you to be able to recommend shows for me that you want me to talk about. I think we're going to go ahead and sign off for this particular episode. And we'll plan on seeing you guys next time on Parenting Rescue with Bryan Post, a.k.a. Big Papa. And if you have suggestions, if you have show ideas, please let me know because I am doing this for you guys. I want to be supportive. I want to be helpful. I want to help you create breakthroughs in your home. And if other families have already put themselves on the line and they're out there, we should be able to learn from some of their challenges. So again, we are very thankful to ABC and Super Nanny Joe and these families, and we hope to be able to just stand on their shoulders and learn even more and create more breakthroughs. And so I think it's going to be awesome. So Happy New Year's to you all, and I will see you again on another episode in the new year coming soon. God bless everyone.